Welcome to the next video of the vet series. This video is how to deal with your horse post cross country, post just basically like
intense exercise.
Yeah, it doesn't have to just be cross country.
Yeah, well, a lot of it is, it might be like after a day's hunting, it might be post team chasing, cross country, basically going galloping at high and doing high speed work for any period of time.
Yeah. So take it away, what do we do?
So if we, I suppose for you, Han, and for me as well, we both event. So we are thinking, what do we do with our horses after we have finished the cross country phase? So depending on your horse's level of fitness will depend on how hot, blowy, etc. they are when you get through the finish line. We'd hope that they're not huffing and puffing too much, but you never know. So first thing we want to do as we come through the finish line is we want to get rider off. We want to loosen girth, loosen noseband, flash, so that we can make sure that the horse can breathe effectively. We've got nothing that's tight on them. And then as soon as you've got an extra pair of hands, then we start to strip the horse off. Han's got some lovely photos of helping me when I got back from the cross country at Badminton last year. So in these photos, you can see that I have obviously got off my horse. I'm standing somewhere elsewhere.
No, she's chasing us, being like, let me do it, let me do it. Me and Rich, dressage Rich, guys, just sit down, I'll do it. And she's like,
it wasn't that puppy.
No, you weren't that puppy at all.
Not that bad. So then you'll see that my horse hasn't got a saddle on, and we've got Han and Rich with buckets of water trying to wash my horse down. We have taken off all of our boots. So the legs, when you're galloping, the core temperature of the tendons gets really hot. So the quicker you can get those boots off and get those legs starting to cool, the better. Leaving the tendons hot for too long can cause damage and can lead you to being, the horse more prone to having tendon injuries, especially repeatedly. So you get basically little bits of damage each time, and it builds and builds and builds to the point that you end up with a catastrophic rupture or something horrible happening. So the quicker we get the legs cooled down. And
that is a good time for me to mention that the sponsors of this video are Equine Ice. Do you use Equine Ice? Did you say you do?
I have used it. Yeah, I have used it. They're nice and clean.
Yeah. I was actually told that I needed to wash them before I did this video. This one.
Yeah, they go in the washing machine. Did you know that?
I did know that they go in the washing machine, and I was specifically told, do I want a new pair or do I want to wash these? And I was like, no, these are perfectly fine. I'll just wash them. And I'm really sorry, Sophie, but I haven't washed them. But you can wash them. It's okay. So I'll wash them before the event season. That's why I didn't want to wash them now, because, I didn't want them to get dirty now, and then they'll be dirty for the first event. So I'm going to wash them. You wash them at 30 degrees. On a cold wash?
Mine just get, 30 degrees is a fairly cold
wash.
I just wash mine go on 40 and they're absolutely fine.
Okay. Well, basically, let me show you them. Can I pass that to my glamorous assistant to put on?
Oh, for me to put on?
Yeah,
okay.
And I'm just going to show them what it is.
Okay, am I putting it on while you're talking?
Yeah, if that's okay. I'll come down here. Which one do you want? This one?
I'm going to do this one.
So...
Is it rolled up right?
Yeah, should be. Who knows?
Happy stand.
Yeah, depends how good your bandaging is. So, you get 4, these are so dirty, I'm really sorry, Sophie. I can't believe I was told to do this. So you get 4 bandages in a packet, and you just unroll them like my glamorous assistant is here.
I'm probably overlapping them too much for the instructions, but Affy's got really
small
legs.
Yeah, really small legs. And then you just do them up. They're reusable, so after 20 minutes, or you can leave them on up to 2 hours, but I tend to just leave them on for 20 minutes. And then take them off, put them back in your little packet. If my glamorous assistant can take it back off, please.
I might have to take it off.
You re-roll it, you then add a little dollop of this. Stand by.
So it's fully saturated.
So it's fully saturated. How much do you add? I just it
does say on the instructions, but I just do it until it doesn't absorb anymore.
Then you pop it back in, and then you just pop your liquid on over the top. Do it back up, because remember they're reusable. Thanks, Ash. And then shake it, and then pop it back in its bag, and it's all done. Ready for next time. I am going to wash them, Sophie, before my event. I'm really sorry. Bye. So you want to make sure your horse's legs are really cool, so you can use something to help with that.
So obviously there's lots of different products you can use. It's always obviously very dependent on owner preference horse. Some horses are allergic to certain products. So whatever works for you, just active cooling of the legs. And if that's just repeated cold water, that's as good as anything.
Yeah.
So the same with us actively cooling their body. We're putting water on. You don't have to scrape them off.
Yes, I did know
So
that.
you can allow the water just to evaporate. It's the process of the evaporation that helps with the cooling rather than water on, scrape it off, water on, scrape it off. So it was historically, we were told that that's what we're supposed to do, but you don't have to do that. So just lots of active cooling. In this process, you should also be walking the horse round. So as you may know about PSSM and exertional rhabdomyolysis, so tying up, what we want to do is keep the horse moving so that the lactic acid that builds up when you exercise is being excreted from the body and from the muscles. So try not to stand them still until they stop blowing and they're nice and comfortable and cool. So we've finished our cross country. This active cooling phase, obviously at badminton, happened right at the finish because we had a very long walk back to the stables. So we did all of our active cooling at the end of the cross country. Now some events, your end of your cross country is really close to your lorry, so this can happen wherever. Just as soon as you've got through the finish line, I'd always say try and jump off your horse, don't walk them back to the lorry covered in sweat, blowing. That horse
But that's
just
also
worked really
quite
hard.
a good time to be walking them.
Yeah,
loosen
exactly.
your girth, loosen your noseband, to then be walking them to get that.
Yeah, to start that process off. I have a little pet hate that watching people ride their horses back from cross country when they've worked really hard. I just think it's a beautiful opportunity for us to jump off, loosen everything off and start that sort of lowering the heart rate, cooling them off process on the way back to the lorry. So if you've got back to the lorry and you've untacked and you've done all your cooling, so keep them walking until they're not puffing. And then once I'm happy that my horse's respiratory rate and heart rate is likely back to normal, respiratory rate obviously you can visibly see, heart rate you can't, but if they're blowing, the heart rate's going to be up. If they're not blowing, it shouldn't be. So once everything looks like they're back to normal, then we can start to think about potentially giving them a recovery mash, of which many brands are available. Essentially these are high water content feeds that are full of electrolytes. So you're trying to replace all the salts that they've lost while sweating back into their body to try and avoid things like tying up, which don't necessarily happen right in the moment. They can happen hours afterwards. So Darcy gets his recovery mash when I finished. I usually don't bother soaking it until I'm back at the lorry, so it prevents me from giving it too soon. So
you've got to wait for
exactly. So once I finish cooling him off and potentially not even dealt with his legs yet with icing them or putting bandages on of any sort, at that point I'll probably start soaking my feed so that I can't give it yet, because you are at that moment, you're like, oh, he looks fine, I'll just give it to him. But actually, if you can stop yourself giving them too much too soon, that's always a bonus. So then for me, once I've done that, I would then apply whatever I'm applying to my horse's legs for cooling. And then once my recovery mash has soaked, I will give that to him. Again, once I've finished and obviously you've picked all your stuff up, take your horse home, make sure that they're adequately rugged for the evening. I don't tend to say to anybody to do anything differently with your evening routine. So if your horse normally gets feed, it has a feed. In the summer months, my horses live out, so Darcy gets chucked in the field when I get home after I finish, so that he's out leg stretching. He's an older horse, so the more he moves around, the better. But obviously your individual routine and circumstances will dictate what you do. So next day, again, it depends a little bit on your facilities, your routine. Has your horse been stabled? Has it not been stabled?
Yeah, because we do different things, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So for you, where your horse is stabled overnight, the important thing for Aff is to get her moving. So with Affy, I would always recommend that she either goes on the walker or goes for a hack, so that she is actively moving, and then she can go out in the paddock and have a sort of a quiet day stretching. My horse, because he will live out in the summer when I'm eventing, he'll be out already, so already mooching. So I quite often will give him a day or two off without doing anything, because I know he's mooching around the field quite happily. But horses that are in, I think you've got to actively get them moving just so they don't stiffen up too much. After that, it's obviously making sure that your horse hasn't got, or if they did sustain any lumps, bumps, knocks, just making sure that you aren't looking at anything on their legs and going, oh crikey, I need to do something about that. Obviously, if you are concerned about anything, that's your opportunity to phone us. And send some photos. WhatsApp's our friend.
Poor Hannah. Hannah,
So
I don't WhatsApp you as much as I used to, but Hannah probably gets monthly WhatsApps. What do you think of this, Kurt? What do you think of that, Hannah? What should we do with this?
Yeah, so yeah, if there's anything that you're concerned about, then that's your opportunity to let somebody know.
Yeah. And just keep an eye on it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important to make sure you've got your first aid kit on your lorry, so that if you are out and about and something happens, like how many times, you know, if you took a wrong stride at something, your horse has clonked something, or they've studded themselves. Darcy repeatedly stands on himself with his studs cross country. So I'm always coming back to the lorry, hibby scrubbing, applying spray of some description to make sure that I'm treating that as soon as it happens rather than leaving it to fester.
Yeah.
And we shall bring you, are we doing a whole other video on
We're
first aid kits?
We're going to do a whole other video on first aid kits and what should be in your first aid kit, yes.
Yeah, and how to treat like your minor bits and bobs. So
yes.
We'll cover that bit there, but making sure you've got first aid appropriate items with you on your horse box.
Yeah.
Like in my event box, I've got a box that's got all of my eventing gear in it, so I've still got some Equine ice in there actually. Bandages, all sorts of bits that I could possibly need. I've got that with me on my lorry at all times in my event box. It stays in there, it never gets taken out of the lorry, so I know I can always go to that box and it's there ready to go, rather than thinking every time you pack your lorry to go somewhere, you've got to go and find it from all the other places that you've had. And especially through the winter months, we're all guilty of emptying first aid kits from different bits and bobs.
Yeah, just having things everywhere. Yeah. Well, I think that's a very informative video. Thank you so much, Han, and we'll see you for the next one. Bye. Hey, it's future Han. I feel really bad for not washing these, so I'm going to wash them now and show you what they come out like. Oh, can I unroll it? Yeah. So look how disgusting that is. So grim. Anyway, chucking it in here. 1 second, stand by. Chuck that in the wash. I'm also going to chuck this in, which is the bag that it comes in, because our tack room was leaking, so it's gone mouldy. So I'm going to see how that comes out. And then, do you reckon like a 30 maybe? Because it only needs to be on 30. I mean, I can change that. I reckon that's fine. No detergent. Oh. Is that right? There you go. Right, let's see what that comes out like. Look at how much better these are. Look at the light's making them look worse than they are. But considering, oh, maybe I should have just done 2 and then I could have shown you a comparison of how dirty they were. But they're literally, I need to put it against something white. Have I got anything white? No. Brilliant. But basically, they're clean. I'm really impressed. And now all I'm going to do is roll them back up, put them back in their little bag.